Right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the North Central Climate Collaborative bi-monthly webinar. NC3 is made up of a group of extension professionals from across the region who are working to increase the flow and usability of climate information and for extension, farmers, natural resource managers, communities all across the region increase adoption of climate smart practices, whatever we want to call those today, improving water management and all while thinking about profitability and livelihoods as well. Um, Again, you could always check out our webinars on the fourth Monday of every other month. So the next one will be coming up at the end of August. We have a great slate of speakers set for today that I'm going to go ahead and introduce now and let them take over. They've got plenty of exciting things to talk about today, so we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to start with a couple of speakers today. One is Rayomon Shange, uh, who is the 1890 Extension Administrator, Director of the 1890 NIFA Center for Excellence for Farming Systems, Rural Prosperity, and Environmental Sustainability. Also, the Director of the Carver Integrative Sustainability Center and the Associate Dean of the College of Agriculture, Environment, and Nutrition Sciences at Tuskegee University. Joining him is Alicia Betancourt, who's the Extension Director of the University of Florida. Institute of Food and Agriculture. She provides technical assistance and resilience planning to local governments in Florida. So it's exciting. We're going to be talking about the team here, the resilience team, and they're going to dive into a lot. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over, I believe, to Alicia to kind of direct today's events. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Erin. I'm just gonna set up my screen here for a quick second. Hopefully. All that tech check, and I messed it up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so Raymond is going to start us off, and I think we're good to go. We'll give you a whole introduction and update and what we're doing here. So go ahead, Raymond.
All right. Thanks, Alicia. Again, my name is Rayomon Shange, and I'm currently co-chair of the Climate Program Action Team and Extension Administrator at Tuskegee University. And I have the honor of presenting with my colleague here, Alicia Betancourt, who's chair of the Fostering Resilient Communities Working Group. You'll all hear a little bit more about those working groups later, but we have some of our colleagues with us who do amazing work and lead some of those working groups within you hear me call them PAT, but our program action team throughout ECOP. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do we get there? How do we get to these program action teams? So it all starts with ECOP, the Extension Committee on Organization and Policy. This is kind of our national organization for extension, where at that level we help build partnerships, acquire resources, do some strategic thinking and marketing and planning around communications, as well as organization. We actually also have programs to enhance leadership development, as well as professional development within our organizations and institutions throughout the country. We also strengthen organizational functioning. So this occurs across all three of our land grant types, our 1994s, our 1890s, as well as our 1862. So it's a real integrative team of leaders. And from that, there is some subcommittees that we have. So did mention professional development, which is a subcommittee, but there's also the program committee. And that program committee is actually charged with establishing and managing the portfolio of the PATs, the program action teams. And these are normally formed around system-wide leadership and some high priority issues that are occurring throughout the entire nation. Next slide, please. So for our actual program action teams today, so these don't, I guess these aren't infinitum, right? These are evolving as issues arise. Leadership chooses to make program action teams around those issues. And as things kind of taper off and sometimes develop into their own task force, no longer become program action teams. But today we have 5. We have resilient communities and lands, which we're presenting on today. We have health and well-being, as well as economic and workforce development, sustainable urban food systems, and national digital extension education teams. So if you all want more, please check out our website there at the bottom. And they're also in the chat too. Alicia's dropping them in the chat. Thanks, Alicia. Next slide. So in particular with our resilient communities and lands, Pat, we're building a leadership group reflective of extension. So as I mentioned earlier, it has all the 5 ECOP regions, as well as we include NECI, the National Extension Climate Initiative, NC3, you all, North Central Climate Collaborative, EDEN, the Extension Disaster Education Network, the Sea Grant universities, and as well as I mentioned, there's representation from all 3 of our land grant areas being the 1862s, the 1890s, and 1994s. And we have chairs of each of our working groups. Next slide, please. So as far as our PAT, our mission is to strengthen collaboration across the system to support resilient communities, working lands, and natural resources nationwide. So our approach is supporting both in-person and virtual convenings that strategically focus limited capacity on priorities identified by extension professionals at all levels. These efforts empower working groups to advance initiatives and develop. So as these things are held, these convenings are held, again, you'll see in a minute where our first convening was in person. And in large part, since then, we've had a lot of virtual convenings. But we think this hybrid method will be one to bring us closer, but then also to leverage the restraints on time and travel that we have. Secondly, impact. We look at aligning and strengthening extension efforts to be more effective and timely solutions that inform our decision makings and our long-term resilience as a system. And it matters because the communities that we work with are facing growing environmental and economic pressures, as you all know, and they're increasing the need for coordinated, science-based, and locally relevant extension support throughout the country. Next slide, please. So also our PAT is supported a national convening to develop a vision for resilient communities and lands for cooperative extension. And at that convening actually set in motion the development of a white paper, which is also available on the Connect Extension website and Resilient Communities Land subgroup. Next slide, please. So here we are at our initial meeting where we had 55 participants. I would say that the 1862s, 1890s, and 1994s were extremely well represented. We also brought out USDA officials, and Extension Foundation played a key role in helping to bring us together as well. They were organized by 3 audience groups that Extension serves: communities, natural resources, and agricultural working lands. As you can imagine, you'll see turned into our working groups. So our goal was to draft and have a draft action plan for the resilient communities, PAT, which we successfully did. And that has been our guide for our current partnerships as well as our future partnerships and to focus in on our work. And at this point, I'm turning it over to Alicia.
Great. Thank you, Rayomon. So you kind of have a little idea of where we've been, and now we're going to talk about, sort of what we've been doing, and then finally sort of the ways you can engage or, at least get access to the resources that we're working on. So as I'm sort of multitasking here, I put in the chat the 2025 working group updates. You may want to just take a look at. There was a lot of negotiation, as you can imagine. 55 people is a pretty big group, even broken out into 3 different topic areas. And, we worked over the course of a few days thinking about what major themes we can agree upon to sort of move forward. And so within this resilient communities and lands, which is the priority action team name as of today, it previously was the climate action team. And so you may hear us using those interchangeably. We changed that name in order to really align with the USDA initiatives and, be keenly aware of, what they think the priorities are. And so on that in-person convening, four major themes emerged, and we, worked on titling them. Their titling right now is Expanded Policy and Policymaker Engagement, Fostering Resilient Communities, Implementing a Climate Response, and Advancing 21st Century Health and Wellbeing for All. And we're going to go right now sort of into the weeds on these a little bit and give you a better understanding of what we're doing in each one of these four working groups. I know that I believe that Jody Lynn Johnson Maynard is probably in the audience. I know she said she was traveling, but she was going to listen. She serves on this working group along with a big group of really dedicated folks. And so what they've been working on is developing a toolkit for extension and community members to connect to policymakers. And what they, envision is that not only within Extension, our Extension staff can help community members begin that two-way conversation on educating local and state policymakers on policies that will increase resilience and reduce risk. What they have been working on that will be completed by the end of this year are 3 chapters that we're going to make available online. And they are a very creative bunch. They're going to working on recording podcasts and case studies to this, topic. One thing that, we could use help with if you're interested in this topic is some volunteers to help with writing, with case study development and podcast production. So if you're interested in any one of those 3 things, or you just have a good program you want to get out there, at some point in this presentation, there's going to be a link and a QR code on how to sort of reach out to these working groups and get some more information or sign up to be part. I'll go back one step. Generally, the main working groups meet once a month, and we like people to sign up for a 6-month stint. So you're not, joining something that's going to take a lot of draw on your resources unless you have the time to give and the passion to, do a little bit more. And so with that being said, the second working group that I'm going to outline is that I happen to co-chair, which is the Fostering Resilient Communities Working Group. And the idea behind that was to have something for extension, a framework, including a structured, adaptable guide. This is really community focused. And so we want to help community leaders, local governments, all the stakeholders, nonprofits, residents, and extension professionals collaborate on community-centered resilience planning. So where you might see the previous working group really focused on policymakers, this is really focused on community groups, community members, in addition to policymakers. We're in the final sort of drafts of an 11-module guide that when we complete that, it'll be available on a couple of different websites. It'll be downloadable. There are worksheets. So it really is both a useful and easy resource that can be broadly applicable to all communities. It's really centered in community development, and so it's a customizable document that can be tailored to local either environmental, social conditions. When we think about resilience, we think about, obviously climate resilience, but, resilience to heat, to any number of changes, including, environmental, social, even political. And so this resource contains national level best practices with guidance and templates for engagement, partnership, mentoring, and then having meaningful discussions. It's, as I said, it's locally customizable, so community leaders or organizations can use sort of a fill in the blank section to develop local, regional, or state-specific strategies, and engage stakeholders. And then included in the modules is an implementation roadmap. So well-known best practice strategies for rollout, refinement, reporting, and evaluation. And just to fill you with a little bit more information, I'll kind of outline some of the modules. And a lot of these, maybe in extension, you've used these before. And so we're just sort of utilizing what we know to be true when we work with communities. Community network mapping, how to have trust building conversations, leveraging redundancy, mapping existing networks, facilitating dialogue, engaging grassroots leadership. So, and reporting back, of course. But like I said, there's 11 different modules, and they are going to be available by the end of the year, probably earlier than that. And we certainly also welcome volunteers' help with writing, refining, identifying funds, or even if this sounds like something that you'd would like to write into your programming for next year, we'd love to work with you on pilot testing this guide. Next, I'm going to introduce, and I think I've promoted her, Denise Natoli Brooks, and she is the chair of implementing a climate response. And so I'm going to have her go over that working group for you.
Thanks, Alicia. So implementing a climate response is focusing on extension professionals, really developing extension professionals' ability to work with communities that are facing resiliency issues. So what came out of our working group, or our in-person meeting, the one that had happened in 2024, in all three areas, the ones that focused on natural resources, that worked on communities, that worked on working lands, agricultural working lands, all groups highlighted that the extension professionals, no matter where they are in their journey in extension, could always benefit from that professional development to serve communities. So we ended up with our white paper having about 9 different strategies to consider in moving this implementing a climate response working group forward. So we want to make sure that the extension professionals feel comfortable and knowledgeable with issues and have tools so they really can connect with the program area they're in. And by that, the climate work doesn't have to do just with folks working in agriculture and natural resources, but we want to equip extension professionals that are working in 4-H and youth development, family and consumer sciences, and community and economic development as well. So we really want to make sure everybody can serve the audiences and communities they work with. So our big project, and one that we're moving forward right now, is a national climate curriculum. And this is kind of that course that you take on your own time, but within a cohort that you can take as a group, so like one extension service in a state or one specific university, or it could be a group of extension professionals all in the same program area, or really any way it might work, that it'll go through different modules to explore different climate issues and how to connect them with communities. This one's actually based off of a program that has already been developed and used in certain states, but we don't have a national climate curriculum. So we're working on that right now. It's under development, but some of the products that are already completed or very close to completion that support the national climate curriculum are a climate-related programming feature. We searched across the whole cooperative extension system for examples of high-quality climate-related programming in all program areas and covering lots of different climate or climate-adjacent topics. And we highlighted all of those and gave kind of an example of what climate programming looks like. Sometimes it doesn't scream climate, sometimes it's kind of hidden within resiliency program, community building, all sorts of different topics, and it's been a fun project to see come together. We also realized as we put together the climate-related programming piece that we used a lot of vocabulary words. And really, it's hard to define all those words. And sometimes these words don't even have a simple definition that everyone agrees on. So we embarked on this adventure of trying to create a glossary, which sounded simple at the beginning and became relatively complicated, but we will have a climate programming glossary to support the curriculum as well. That project is close to completion as well. We've got then also, how do we do this programming? The modalities. It's an example of that, the way that extension happens in many different ways. So we highlight different ways or modalities that we can do our programming. From hands-on programming, virtual programming, written documents, podcasts, all sorts of things. But we really wanted to feature that there's not one way to do climate-related extension programming. And then another project that is at the beginning stages, but we are excited about, is an interactive map of climate programming, so we can really see who's doing what where to better build the network. So if I'm thinking about developing a program, I might be able to use this map to see who else near me is doing the program, or maybe I'm looking for a climate analog somewhere else. I could find someone in the system who is doing a program similar to me and really want to not only make sure we're equipped better to do our work, but we are a network of cooperative extension professionals doing the work. So with all that work that is happening, we're definitely recruiting members all the time to contribute to our efforts. We have a lot of projects happening. Right now, the projects I highlighted, particularly the supportive documents, they're essentially almost all to the finish line and really need some fresh eyes to help with those reviews, those edits, to give us that feedback to make sure we're where we want to be before we launch with those pieces. And then with the curriculum that we're working on, we are collecting right now little video interviews from all over the cooperative extension system, talking about how different professionals in different program areas are doing climate work. It's actually a set of a few questions, an interview, and a way for you to feature your good climate work that we are very excited to have people share their stories so we can learn from each other. So for us, our timeline is ongoing. We do try to break our projects into 6-month chunks. Some, of course, will take more than 6 months, like the curriculum is more than 6 months, but we have goals for each 6-month period. And July actually kicks off a new 6-month period. So it is a great time if you're interested to join the Implementing a Climate Response group. Thanks.
Thank you, Denise. And as happens when I'm doing 3 things at once, I failed to introduce you. So can you just introduce yourself for us?
Sure. So I'm Denise Natoli Brooks. In addition to serving and sharing this Implementing a Climate Response Working Group, I am an agriculture and natural resources extension educator, a regional educator at Central State University, Ohio's 1890 land grant. And most of my focus is on small scale and urban farming, as well as new and beginning farmers, specifically specialty crops.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise. I'm just going to break for 1 second and address Hans had a question. As happens when you have all your passwords saved, when I go and grab links, sometimes I don't realize there might be a barrier for you. And so if there's any links that you need sent directly to you, feel free to put your email in the chat. In particular, Hans said the white paper, he would have had to get register an account. So if you need that one, just or any other one, put your email in the chat and we can send that to you directly. And I'm going to move forward with Ali Faraz, who is a professor at Prairie View A&M University in Texas, and he's also the chair of the Water Security, Water, Energy, and Food Nexus. And so I'm going to move this forward and ask Ali to cover advancing 21st century health and well-being for all.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. I guess I was expecting to not to do this, but I'll go ahead and do it. I'm part of the other group that you presented, but let me go ahead and cover this area. Unless there is someone in the health group that can do it, that otherwise I can go ahead and do it.
My apologies, Ali. No, but feel free, go right ahead. I'm sorry, I thought I had you on the right slide.
No problem.
Okay, sorry, Ali.
So this initiative focuses on advancing health and well-being through resilience lenses. So the group is convening a monthly group meeting in partnership with the health leadership team. The goal is to explore how resilience and health intersect across extension programs. At the same time, the group is developing a summary of existing extension work in this area to identify strengths, gaps, and opportunity for collaboration. Topics such as heat-related health impacts and wildfire resilience are emerging as key area of interest. The effort is ongoing, and the group is actively seeking volunteers who would like to help shape the summary and contribute to future strategies and next steps.
Thank you, Ali. Reagan, is there anything you want to add to this? This group in particular is, I believe, still looking for a chair, correct?
Yeah, this group does not have any current leadership, but it is more of a, I will say, a shared leadership model. So it would be great to get a chair or two co-chairs. But you know, this group is a lot of fun. We convene once a month and really have great conversations and are really starting to hone in on some focuses. So it's a really great group to join if you're looking to get connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Reagan. So we're going to move to these calls to action, and you've heard it through the last 4 slides. You really kind of hopefully got an understanding of what each working group is working on. But if you have, interest or you just have more questions, you can certainly contact myself or Reagan at the end. And I'm going to put in the chat these QR codes because it drives me absolutely insane when people give me a QR code, but I want a link. So the very top one is if you want to become a working group member or you just want to be kind of on the mailing list for working groups, we have plenty of those people. You want to know when the meetings are, that sort of thing. You can certainly go to that link. It's a quick Google form, and the information about meeting times are on the form. And then you heard Denise talk about one of their current efforts is to get interviews. So they're recruiting extension professionals from all the regions to participate in a really short video interview discussing how they're incorporating climate or resilience topics into their programming. Every program area is welcome to participate. You might think, well, I do this, it's sort of on the marginal side of resilience planning or resilience strategies. Everything, even marginally, we'd like to highlight. The Southeast region so far is underrepresented. But so are 4-H and youth development, community and economic development, family and consumer science. So if it's you, yay. If you know somebody that you think is just doing a bang up job, also feel free to grab that link and send it to them. Like Denise mentioned, it'll be, coming together within this project. And so people might like to have their programs highlighted.
Alicia, if I can take a moment to interrupt here. So there was a question concerning this from Mary Keller in the Q&A that they have an example from the University of Wyoming's extension and their transdisciplinary team to engage rural communities in scenario planning. And they're wondering, they've got a paper here. Is this, should they share their story or which team should they reach out to that they could share and send this paper in their project?
Denise, if you're still queued in, I'd like you to maybe take that answer.
So thank you for sharing, Mary. We love hearing about these projects because, I mean, we call ourselves Cooperative Extension, but there's no way for us to always know what each other's doing, even within our own universities. So the more we share, the better. Two things for you, Mary. First, because I am actively recruiting for video little stories, please consider yourself or someone in your team you're working with to do one of these video interviews to talk about how you do this work that you just highlighted. And then additionally, the tools we've used to highlight our programs and share them with each other so far through Connect Extension, we have our extension registry, and within it, we were able to search for climate and resilience specific programming. If you haven't featured your program and that paper in that space yet, I would definitely encourage you to do that. And that is, it's called the Extension Registry, where we can highlight and share within the extension service. I found it to be a really nice tool for myself as I've been developing a lot of programming in this space.
Great, thank you, Denise. Yeah, and I would say you can reach out to me. I'll have my email at the end. Denise can put her email in there too, and maybe reach out to her directly, and she can make sure and follow up with you. I'm sure whatever you shared would be a great resource to that project. So another call to action is, like, let's say you're not ready to commit to doing anything, but this sounds interesting to you. If you sign up for Connect Extension, they have a channel under there, which is the Resilient Communities and Lands channel. I think I've put a good link in the chat. It's a blog type of channel, and so you'll be able to just pop in there, either get notifications or not, or pop in when you're thinking about it. The coming toolkits will be announced in there. The guides, any convenings. We're looking at September convening, probably virtually. And so you could follow along with updates. Extension Foundation is really great about putting together, whether it's notification of funding or other things that, people working in this space would really, avail themselves to. All right, I'm going to move forward unless somebody has a question, comment. We're good? Okay. So what are our next steps then? What are we looking forward to for the rest of this year? I mentioned the virtual convening. We've got some sort of nebulous dates, nothing's fine-tuned yet. You can either reach out to me, Reagan, any of the team, or join that Connect Extension channel to get more information. We are ever sort of scanning the horizon for funding opportunities. And so, early on in this process, when the initial priority or program action team was put together, there were a lot more funding opportunities. as this year in particular has developed, some of those funding opportunities haven't been available. But boy, when one or two get out, there's generating a lot of interest about that. And so, even if, sort of, maybe you're not ready to commit to a working group, but you want to just stay in touch with what's going on. We do have, a lot of folks within this leadership group that have a lot of connections and know when the funding opportunities are coming. Obviously, maintaining those relationships with the federal funding agencies, NRCS, of course, USDA and NIFA. And then you've heard us do the hard sell on recruiting working group members and leaders for leadership. So we're in really probably year 3, maybe a little bit longer of, sort of formal chairs and co-chairs of these groups. And, if you or somebody, is interested in providing national leadership, this is a great opportunity. And so, we'd be welcome to, have you as a member or chair or co-chair in any of these groups. I wanted to leave you with one more thing that I think is a really good reason why you should be connected with Extension Foundation. And there's a million different resources on Extension Foundation. This is just one, but I think it it resonates across the board with a lot of folks, within our extension system. And I'm going to put that link in there for you. Nate Burt, who has been working with Extension Foundation now for several years, is a really great teacher. He comes from the fund development side of fundraising, and he has some really interesting educational products that live on the Extension Foundation website. And I thought, well, even if you didn't get much out of this today, here's one thing that I can give you. He has a 13-part YouTube playlist. Each part is about an hour, called Fundraising Grant Partnership Development for Extension Professionals. Is really good. Boy, for somebody who does a lot of grant writing like myself, I even learned quite a few things, back to the basics, some of it. But some of it, we're living in kind of a new age. Number 13, by the way, is utilizing AI to write grant applications, which if you haven't, utilized that yet, there's a lot of ways to save some time in that grant application process. So if there's only one thing you get out of today, maybe go to that YouTube channel, pick a couple of subjects, and get ready for a busy grant season, hopefully this fall. I am going to just put my email up there. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat as well. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, or you just want to talk more about the process of joining one of the PAT working groups, you can just let me know. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to ask Rayomon if you have any final thoughts here.
Thanks, Alicia. I don't have much. I think you all really covered it all, but there's a lot of exciting work going on in the system under what we formerly called the Climate Pat. And we would love to have some more input, some more perspectives from around the system. So if you're even thinking about joining, just go ahead and sign up, and you can make the decision once you get the links in your email. But we would love to have you. Thank you.